Hey guys, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. Hope you're enjoying my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. These little things are free to you and really help the channel. I appreciate your support. Enjoy. Thank you.
The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Greetings and welcome to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick, your host from Firearm Mentor and Stress to Logic. And we're going to bring you some very interesting safety news today. Finally, people in the firearms industry are recognizing that fear and the human stress response is part of a self-defense incident. In a life-threatening encounter, we face more than one type of challenge. Fear is a natural part of human life, and everyone certainly has a fear of being injured or killed, but as armed citizens, we should do what we can to process and suppress that fear, and even to meet that fear and embrace it, all of which is easier to say than to do. To begin, in our society, criminals have to make the first move before we can take action, which puts us at a disadvantage. It puts us in a position of reacting instead of acting. And action is always trumps reaction. If that's not bad enough, the criminal a lot of times is younger, better physical shape than we are, definitely than me. And on top of all that, they have more than likely a lot of experience with actual violence than we have. It's enough to make a smart person concerned. Therefore, it is critically important to suppress and control our fear so we can act quickly and effectively. For those of us with a law enforcement or military background or security background, we've learned to control our fear through peer pressure and through training. We functioned as part of a team, and it was important for us not to be that weak link that lets the team down. Parents are also affected by outside pressure in that they'll do what they must to protect their children and other loved ones. But the best way to suppress fear is by being informed, being equipped, and being trained. And that's why, in addition to within my firearms concealed carry classes, I also do keynote presentations with my main keynote being called Overcoming the Hot Stress Mess. There's also, I wrote a book on it, which you can get at theoppositeofsafe.com. And it talks about all of these involuntary blockers that happen under stress. And it's more general than just a self-defense incident, although a self-defense incident is a life and death stress scenario. The techniques that I talk about also work in non-life-threatening scenarios. As humans, often we cannot differentiate the difference between high stress that does not put us in danger and the actual life and death stress. And that's just how we're wired. It's biological, it's involuntary, and we can't help it. But by being informed, we have a much better idea of what to expect. So a criminal encounter is not such a surprise or mystery. Just as we study our local laws regarding use of force, we also study the types of violent crimes found where we live. And we want to know how these crimes are being committed. How are carjackers getting the victims stopped? How are the home invaders getting into the house? The more we know about how criminals actually operate, the less surprised we'll be, the better equipped we will be. And once we have a better idea of criminal operations, it's easier for us to devise a plan that will, at least in part, survive the encounter. Crooks and bad guys expect us to be surprised and frozen in fear. And our understanding of the dynamics of a criminal attack will often help us suppress our fear and function effectively. And good gear doesn't overcome poor tactics. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having the best defensive gear that we can afford. These are things like firearms, ammunition, holsters that function reliably and accurately. We select the gear not because it's popular, but because it works for us. There's an article, I don't remember, I saw it online about pocket carry. You shouldn't pocket carry, you shouldn't pocket carry. Guess what? For some people, pocket carry works. I've also seen articles, you shouldn't have off the body carry, like in a purse or a fanny pack. But for some people, that works. So again, it's what works for you. It's not the popularity or some article that you saw that says you should or shouldn't do something. Once we get this gear, we further increase our confidence, and our fear is actually suppressed by getting professional training. And like I've said before, I have once a month training. You can sign up for a concealed carry class at www.firearmmentor.com/classes. But if that's not for you, I can do a private class. And if concealed carry isn't for you, guess what? I can give you lessons. As a matter of fact, yesterday I had a second lesson with a gentleman at a local range at RMG Guns. By the way, the RMG Guns is having their annual customer appreciation sale on the 15th of February. They're going to have snacks and foods. The company called Tactical Grit is going to be there. They make for lack of a better term, it is a hand sanitizer type product where you put it on your hands, it encapsulates the lead falls off your hands. And that's great for if you're going to go shooting at an area that doesn't have a restroom, you're going shooting at an outdoor range, or you're going camping and you're plinking cans. You definitely want to get that lead off of your hands. So I do all that. So my first lesson typically is going to be with a 22, and this is for people that haven't shot before. And I'll go through the safety, as well as function of the firearm. We'll get them up to speed on the mechanics of how to shoot. We'll change things. We'll change grip. We'll change stance. We'll change the way things are aimed. And I can't really do that in a classroom, although the safety part I can do in a classroom. But I can't see how an individual shoots without seeing them actually shoot. So the first lesson is with a couple different 22s. We can do semi-auto, we can do revolver, rifle, whatever works for you. Second lesson, and this is typically for people who are interested in handguns. For people that are interested in handguns, I present a wide variety of firearms for the student to practice with, to shoot, to see what they like, to see what they don't like. And everybody is different. There's no one gun size fits all. So I actually recommended a firearm that I had not recommended before. The student last night wanted, and when I say last night, I'm recording this on Friday, so it was Thursday evening. He really liked the steel gun, and he really liked single action. Well, the store didn't. The other thing that he liked was he liked a narrow grip. So we're looking for a narrow grip, steel gun, single action, and I recommended a Springfield Armory SA-35. Now that gun is a fantastic, fabulous gun. That's what I kind of had in mind with him in the range, and we looked at several different ones. We looked at 2011s, we looked at a 9mm 1911, we talked about a CZ-75, but I really felt strongly, and I didn't tell him this, I let him make the decision that the SA-35 would be perfect for him. And now I want to get one too. I love the gun. It is fabulous. It's not really a practical gun, in my opinion, and you can disagree with me because I did have a student who carries a clone of the Browning High Power way before the Springfield Armory SA-35 came into being, and he loved it, and you can certainly conceal it. It's a little bit large to conceal. It's a little bit heavy to conceal. And the joke that I make, although it's more of a serious comment than a joke, is that it will pull your pants down. And it will, because it's an all-steel gun. Most all-steel guns, due to gravity, will pull your pants down and you'll be constantly adjusting. There are products where you can do, you look like a nerd if you do belt and suspenders, but the suspenders actually are hidden under your shirt and they keep your pants up. There's several products. If you mess around on my YouTube page, which is Firearm Mentor, you can find a review of one of these products. It's not the only one on the market. This gentleman wanted his firearm for home defense and to go to the range, and for him, this worked. Doesn't work for everyone. Every gun is different for every person. But that's the kind of gear that he would get that will increase his confidence. Another value of professional training is the opportunity to spend time with instructors like me who've dealt with more actual violence than the student has. And working in criminal justice since 1988, and among some other things, I have seen my share of violence. If I never see violence other than in a movie, if I never see violence in person again, I would be a happy person. But I'm amid this type of career. So I see violence. I've seen people get hurt. I've seen people get emotionally hurt when someone else gets physically hurt, whether it's from violence or from an accident. It's human nature that we generally prefer not to think about bad things, but we push them out of our mind. But the armed citizen today just can't afford to do that when it comes to dealing with violent crime. When these dirtbags are in your face, you can bet the police aren't going to get there in time. You're on your own. You are your own first responder until the public safety personnel arrive. And that's not just in a criminal or violent case. I'm my own first responder. Guess what? I've got smoke detectors. That's how I know when dinner is ready. Okay, that was a joke, guys. But I'm my own first responder. I check the batteries all the time. Not all the time, twice a year like you're supposed to check them. I replace them twice a year. And for me, that is my first alert. Just like being aware of your surroundings would be your first alert that something is amiss. So we all have to take responsibility for our own safety. We are all involved in our own safety. And it really floors me when people aren't. Let me give you an example. I do active shooter response drills for a couple different organizations. And one of the first ones that I did was with a religious school. So I talked about, hey, look, when you walk into a room, you have to be aware of your surroundings. Where are the exits? And the example that I gave them was that, and they were the Sunday school teacher for my children, or the staff, I should say. I said, when I used to take my kids to the movies, this is when they were younger, they're adults now, but when I took my children to the movies, the first thing I would say to them would be, where are the exits? Well, obviously, the door that we walked in is an exit, but there's emergency exits as well. And they'd point them out to me. And now they just subconsciously, they eyeball it anyway in a dark theater. And then I asked this class, I said, what's the most likely emergency that's going to happen at a movie theater? And this was after the whole Colorado Batman theater shooting. Oh, it's going to be a shooting. No, it's not going to be a shooting. The most likely emergency in a movie theater is going to be smoke and or fire. Think about it. We've got cooking going on constantly. We've got electronic equipment projecting onto the screen as well as the sound equipment. That's what's going to possibly cause a problem. What's the second most common emergency? Well, it's going to be a medical emergency. And that's just because that's the nature of our society. And if you have to get out of the building, you need to know where the exits are. So one of the teachers, who's absolutely lovely, said to me in class, and I'm quoting, "You mean to tell me I need to look for the exits?" Yes, you need to look for the exits. This could possibly save your life. And it's what I call one of those high impact, low probability incidents. So I got that term when I did risk management for a fire department when we talked about what type of emergencies could occur. Well, this was right after I don't remember what town it was, but in Minnesota, there was an enormous bridge collapse. And what's the likelihood of a bridge collapsing under its own weight? Almost zero. But the impact is great. That's why our children today in schools have to do fire drills, tornado drills. And unfortunately today they have to do evacuation drills from a bus in case there's some sort of emergency there, and there's active shooter response drills. This education is designed to save lives, and who's more important than our children for a life to save? We can suppress our fear by understanding it and finding ways to function in spite of it, and the best way to do that is to be well-informed, well-equipped, and professionally trained. You can always reach out to me with questions via my electronic business card, which is marcusmelnick.com. That is marcusmelnick.com. I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRES2logic.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show. People of all ages really love firearms. There's no age that's too young or too old. Now, the parents have to determine that the child is old enough and mature enough to handle a firearm. And in my case, and this was a different time than it is now, I was 7 years old when I first learned how to shoot a firearm. And actually, it wasn't even a firearm. It was a pellet gun in my parents' basement under supervision from my father. My father mentored, he was my first firearms mentor, and that's kind of why my company name is Firearm Mentor, because it's a little bit of a tribute to him. And if you look at our website or our business cards, they are red, white, and blue, same as the flag. Now, I grew up in an extremely patriotic family. My parents actually got married on July 4th. And the funny thing is, that's American Independence Day. The funny thing is, they went to England for their honeymoon. They went back to the mother country. I think that's just very ironic and funny. But we always would celebrate. My sister and I, when we would be on vacation, and we'd always vacation over July 4th, we'd walk about 2 miles to the local bakery and order a red, white, and blue cake that looked like a flag for my parents once we got our allowance and saved up. And that's what we would have on their anniversary, a chocolate or a marble cake with red, white, and blue on it. So the oldest customer that I've had has been in his late 80s. And as we age, personal safety is a growing concern, especially in the face of increasing violence targeting older adults. According to the CDC, the rate of non-fatal assaults against adults age 60 and older increased by 53% between 2008 and 2016, with assaults against older men rising by more than 75% in the same period. High-profile incidents such as the 82-year-old man in Boston who was attacked by a group of ATV riders, or the tragic murder of a 78-year-old in Orlando during a carjacking, highlights the vulnerability of senior citizens to random acts of violence. The trend is alarming, and it's led many seniors to consider carrying concealed as a means of regaining a sense of security and control. While carrying presents unique challenges for individuals, such as physical limitations, adapting to modern firearms technology, it also offers a path to enhance safety and confidence when approached with the right preparation. There are physical considerations and solutions for older carriers. Aging brings this physical challenge that can impact the ability to effectively carry and use a concealed firearm. Seniors often are faced with reduced grip strength, diminished vision, and hearing loss, which can complicate the selection and handling of a firearm. Understanding these challenges and adapting accordingly is key to ensuring safety and confidence. For individuals with conditions like arthritis, or diminished hand strength, lightweight firearms and ergonomic grips are critical. There are slide assisters, there are soft rubber grips, and quite frankly, when we age, our skin gets to be very easy to tear. So soft rubber grips is a great thing. I've loved them for a long time. They help reduce strain and improve handling. For those with limited dexterity, there's handgun operations like the Smith & Wesson EZ series or the Smith & Wesson Equalizer. There are guns that are really easy to operate, and they provide slide manipulation and minimal recoil. Speaking of recoil sensitivity does increase with age. Heavier firearms tend to absorb more recoil, but their weight can be challenges for people with extended use. Now, I mentioned the gentleman who I had a lesson with last week. He, about a box and a half of 9mm in, he put the guns down and he starts moving his shoulders. He's like, do people really get tired? And I said, yes, you're using muscles that you have not used or don't use regularly. So what I told him to do is to increase that strength, go home when you watch TV, take a soup can, and just hold it out in front of you with your hand. It's going to get difficult, but you'll be able to hold it for longer and longer, and that's going to increase your strength. Transitioning to lower calibers like .380 or .22 can reduce felt recoil without compromising effectiveness in self-defense scenarios. Reduced recoil ammunition is another solution, which provides a balance between power and comfort. And I know a lot of people say, oh, 22, you can't use self-defense with a 22. 22 long rifle is the most common caliber used in murders in the United States. Now, it's not going to be a fast stop because you're trying to get someone to stop the attack by bleeding out so their brain doesn't have enough oxygen to continue. But the reality is, if you've got 10 shots at 22 or you've got 6 shots at .380 and you make all of them count regardless of the firearm, you're good to go. Vision also deteriorates. I've tried an optic on a handgun. I didn't really care for it. It wasn't for me, but I keep making the comment, as I age, I might change my mind. Diminished eyesight does affect aiming accuracy. But there's modern sighting solutions like red dots, lasers, and tritium sights that can help. Red dot sights, for instance, provide clear aiming that doesn't require precise alignment of traditional iron sights. Lasers offer immediate visual feedback on where the muzzle is aimed, making them useful for people with ocular limitations. I personally don't like lasers because if you go to the range and you see someone shooting with a laser, it's rarely steady on a handgun. On a rifle, yeah, sure, you can have a bipod, you can have a laser. That's how it happens in the movies. But with a handgun, there's a lot of movement. And for me, it's ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, look at how much my hands are shaking. And that provides a psychological roadblock for someone. So you can get a laser. It certainly would work. I don't like them for me. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. There's also hearing challenges. So age-related hearing loss, can hinder situational awareness. Devices like the Peltor Sport Tactical 500 or Walker electronic hearing muffs amplify the ambient sound while protecting against loud noises, and there's dual benefits for training and self-defense scenarios. Holsters and carry options also exist. Comfortable, accessible holsters are essential for older carriers. Options like reinforced mouth holsters allow one-handed reholstering, while cross-draw or shoulder holsters can reduce strain on the hips and back. Selecting a holster that aligns with physical capabilities ensures that the firearm remains secure and accessible. And in my class, I bring a variety of holsters where the people can see, or the students can see, what each one is. Training and adaptation are also very important. We need to train tailoring to physical limitations. Training should focus on fundamentals like grip, stance, and trigger control and breathing, with an emphasis on efficiency over volume. Short, frequent sessions will help build muscle memory without overexertion, and dry firing drills at home allow for safe practice without ammo. If you're going to dry fire at home, get a SIRT gun that just shoots out a laser and get a target, because you don't want to make a mistake and put your ammo in your gun and say, oh, just pull the trigger one more time, and boom, you're blowing a hole in a wall or someone else. It's very important to acknowledge and address physical considerations so seniors can continue to carry concealed confidently and effectively, adapting their equipment and techniques to their evolving needs. One of my students is in a wheelchair. He has to shoot differently. I cannot take him to a range that has stairs in it. He's in a wheelchair. And it's not like he's temporarily in a wheelchair. He needs to sit in the wheelchair the entire time. So we will go to a range with a zero step type admission. And one of those ranges is actually Fox Valley in Elgin. And the funny thing is, I was teaching there once and I saw him. And of course I went up to him. Hey, how's it going? There are senior concealed carry gear, which means selecting an appropriate firearm and holster is crucial for seniors for comfort and safety and effective self-defense. Factors such as ease of use, weight, recoil management, and accessibility must be considered to accommodate the unique needs of older adults. Firearms with user-friendly features such as easy-to-rack slides and manageable trigger pulls are beneficial for everyone, but specifically for seniors with reduced hand strength or arthritis. Again, the Smith & Wesson Shield EZ or Equalizer is specifically designed with these considerations in mind, featuring a slide that requires less force to operate and a grip safety that enhances security without adding complexity. Lightweight and compact firearms are also easier to handle and carry. For example, the Ruger LCP Max, it's a Micro 380. It offers a balance between size and firepower, making it suitable for discreet carry and ease of use. Low recoil firearms are preferable to minimize discomfort and improve accuracy. Here's an interesting thing. I've heard that a Glock 26 is known for its manageable recoil and ergonomic grip. No. Choosing a caliber that balances, like 380 and 9mm, are popular choices. As we age, maintaining proficiency with a concealed firearm becomes more important and at times more challenging. Physical limitations may require adjustment in training methods. If you have questions on how to do that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Stay tuned for more after we return from the break. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.